I was pretty much on the cusp of having a hysterectomy in my very early 40s. I was told basically there's no cure. I was on massive amounts of opioids. I just couldn't accept that that was the only path for me. So I started researching and I stumbled across carnivore. And I was like, you know what? I'll try it for 7 days. I immediately started gaining weight. I was getting on the scales and just going, what is happening to my body?
Hey SB fam, carnivores, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Bella, the Steak and Butter Gal. I hope you all are having an amazing meat-fueled day. And as usual, drop a comment down below and let me know how your carnivore progress has been going. Before I bring on my guest, Alicia, I wanted to share that my next carnivore challenge is open for sign up. If you are looking for guidance or someone to just hold your hand through your carnivore journey, you can get help and answers from carnivore doctors, specialists, and coaches. If you are fans of any of the faces shown on the screen, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Kiltz, Dr. Tony Hampton, Rebecca Heischman, and Sean White, the intentional carnivore, you will all be able to learn from them and ask them your personal questions in the upcoming carnivore challenge. Just go to sbgmeetup.com as shown on the screen or visit the links down below in the description box. Alicia, welcome to the channel. How are you doing?
Hi, Bella. It is an absolute honor to be here. I am fantastic. Thank you for having me.
So let's jump right into your carnivore story. And I have Coach Emily here to ask follow-up questions, but also comment on your journey. How did you find the carnivore diet? How did you start?
I originally came to carnivore, like so many people do, via the keto loophole. And my overarching kind of pursuit of that was to find relief for a chronic medical condition I have called adenomyosis, which is essentially the ugly sister of endometriosis. So it's invasive uterine tissue growth. It breaks into the wall. It causes enlargement of the uterus, really heavy bleeding, a lot of pain. It just really was impacting my life. And I was pretty much on the cusp of having a hysterectomy in my very early 40s because I was told basically there's no cure. That's the only relief. You must remove it. But I just couldn't accept that that was the only path for me. So I started researching nutritional protocols and I came across keto and I saw that people were having some amazing success. So I was like, you know what? This doesn't sound too crazy. I'll give it a go. And keto was great for me until it wasn't. Keto really shone a spotlight for me on just how sugar and carb addicted I was. I had no idea how addicted I was to sugar until I started essentially replacing all the sugar and the carbohydrates with fakeaways and all the fake sugars. And my body just couldn't care about eating main meals. I make a wicked keto dessert. Let me tell you, I became a master chef at this because all I wanted was sweets. And I really knew I had a problem with the sugar when I was sitting at a bus stop one day with this huge block of keto chocolate. And I put a piece in my mouth and then I put another piece and another. And I realized that I was eating like an addict. And I looked down at the packet and there was a couple of squares left. And I was like, okay, you need to address this. The adenomyosis pain really wasn't being relieved anymore. I was on massive amounts of opioids for the pain, and I just felt like I needed something totally prescriptive for my needs. So of course we all jumped back onto YouTube, onto the internet, go down the rabbit holes, and I stumbled across carnivore. Started looking at a couple of different channels. Yours, of course, was one of them.
Thanks.
And I was like, okay, there's something to this. I've been prepared to accept that perhaps, what we're told about nutrition and how to fuel and feed our bodies and care for them, there's something outside that box. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a go. I kid you not, I had stopped taking all my pain medication.
What?
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, surely not. I'm like, I was just as surprised as everybody else. I was like, okay, well, that was a fun little experiment. I'm going to go back to keto because, of course, I was still, on the other hand, chasing the sugars. Went back to keto, had to go back on pain meds. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give that carnivore thing. I'll give it one more shot. And I was like, if the same thing happens, this is how you're going to eat from now on. And what do you think happened? Off pain medication.
And how far into carnivore are you now?
I'm 15 months.
I mean, this is phenomenal how much your body recognized real food. And I think on that keto path, I'm so thankful for it because it oftentimes leads us to carnivore and oftentimes helps that transition to be a smoother transition. But it's not ancestral natural food. All of these chemistry experiments that I had them in my own kitchen, was making all kinds of sweetened things, and combining this sweet and fat together is such a trap. So I find it fascinating, and that's phenomenal that your transition was so quick, that you had that in such a short period of time, that your symptoms and your body was crying out for this real food. What happened with your body composition, and what was that journey like, switching from keto to carnivore?
Yeah, well, I was definitely one of the people that felt a little bit lost and bewildered because I immediately started gaining weight.
Yeah.
And yeah, really quickly. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I know that you ladies know what I'm talking about. So, I was in forums and I was in the SBG, and I was seeing all these people cheering and celebrating all these body recomp journeys, whereas I was getting on the scales and just going, what is happening to my body? And, when you come from such a restrictive background, like I did, a lot of binge restrict behaviors, some disordered eating, you don't have the tools to begin to heal. And once you start putting that amazing carnivore nutrition into your body and flooding it with the fuel it needs, it is going, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Where has this been all my life? I need all of this. And I can say this now, on the other side, I've come through, I put on about 6 kilos really, really rapidly. And it took me a while for that to start falling away and to really start seeing those body recomp changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be quite unsettling at first because, I think a lot of people come into carnivore and think that, suddenly all their problems are going to be fixed, and it's very magical, to be fair. It is a pretty magical way of eating. But there is some stuff that can come up that can really throw you. So all I could do was really embrace the process because, I wanted that optimal health that I've been seeking for my entire life. So what's the worst thing that can happen? You buy a pair of stretchy pants or a couple of cute new tops that, hide a bit of that fluff that you've got going on, and you just push on through and commit to it. So I'm really glad that I stood firm and stood strong, and particularly with priming, you can't move your health into that better space without kind of walking through some fire and facing some challenges. But I'm so grateful that I did it.
It's amazing.
You mentioned priming. I want to hear how was that experience? How did you feel? What was that like?
Priming for me was amazing, but it was very confronting. Confronting in the sense that due to my restrictive background, I had completely tanked my leptin and my ghrelin. I had no idea what it was like to be properly hungry or properly full. And Coach Ray says, you got to eat like it's your job. It is a job, and it can be tough work. I remember I had this day and I sat there and I cooked up 1 kilo of ground beef patties. And, that's quite a bit of food for a 5'2" small woman. And I sat down and I started eating, and I realized that I was more than halfway through the plate. And my restrictive mindset was like, you must stop eating now. You've had enough. But my body's like, I'm not full. And I just realized as I ate and ate and ate that there was no shut off for me, and just how bad the hormonal damage was. So there may have been a few tears on that day, but I still kept eating. And, if you come into carnivore, and particularly a lot of people come into carnivore and really want to pursue a fasting lifestyle, you cannot step into that fasting lifestyle unless you laid that fundamental groundwork.
Yeah.
And that you've had that reset with something like priming, particularly if you've got a history of restriction, if you have any kind of hormonal issues, it is absolutely imperative to make sure that you are completely nourished and ready to go into fasts.
We see that all the time. We notice these patterns, and coming from that restriction, when you start to eat, the appetite opens up. We actually celebrate that. We celebrate feeling hunger. We celebrate getting fully nourished.
Yeah.
But I love that so many members have been through this, and so they can know the signs, expect what's happening, and help each other through that. How did you get through it?
Well, I had a lot of support in the SBG, but I've never been in such a supportive environment where everyone is there as one another's cheerleaders and touching base with people that were experiencing the same things that I were, to see it was completely normal, completely natural, to be able to reach out to coaches and just have that connection, have that tribe, because on the outside, I had nobody that really understood carnivore or really wanted to understand carnivore. And I loved the fact that it was off socials. It was a private
Yes.
group, particularly when you first go carnivore. If you're trying to do it alone, I would say it's probably not the best idea. You need the information, you need the support. So yeah, it's such an investment in you.
I'm just so excited that you had such a great experience. Let's go back to your initial weight gain. So you said you gained around 6 kg, right, of weight. So that's about, Emily, 12 pounds, 12, 13 pounds.
A little bit more, but yeah, in that ballpark.
Okay. Let's just go around the room and share how much weight we initially gained with carnivore. I gained 25 pounds. How about you, Emily?
I gave it a couple of goes. During my priming experience, I was in that 15 to 20 pounds.
Mostly with women when they first go carnivore, they tend to gain weight. And especially for those who obsess over that number on the scale, it tends to be something that freaks them out, that almost pushes them away from sticking to this lifestyle. When you gained the weight, what was going on in your head initially?
I had to tell myself every day to stop stepping on the scales. The scales are not a true indicator of really what's happening for you. And I've been tethered to tracking apps, Fitbit, scales, anything, that's data driven my entire life. So I let that go for the first time. And I put the scales away. I actually threw my Fitbit in the bin. I just like, no more. You need to stop this. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it took a lot. And I understand. Look, I think all those kinds of apps and scales and stuff like that are wonderful. And if it doesn't cause you anxiety and stress, and it's giving you something that's useful and quantifiable, great, use them. But if you're like me and you are beholden to this, inanimate object that defines who you are as a person and everything about your carnivore journey, get rid of it.
How did you actually lose that weight? Because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, so this lady, she gained 12, 13 pounds. Did she ever lose it?
Yeah, look, it took a while, but yes, until about the 6-month period, my appetite was insane, absolutely insane. I was eating at least a kilo of meat a day, at least, plus extras, like your cheese, your eggs, butter. I was obsessed with fat because I was so fat restricted. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've all been there, with a block of Kerrygold, just going, yep, just going to keep on slicing and eating. And that was my life for about 6 months. But I had to let it happen. And one day, just really subtly, I noticed that my appetite was starting to lower. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then just over time, as my signals became clearer and clearer, as my hormonal health improved, I noticed that my meal frequency was reducing. My sizes were a little bit different on the plate, things like that. I'm in such a healthy, happy body. I feel strong, but I feel feminine and I feel healthy. And I'm so thankful for that.
I love that. That's incredible. Sounds actually very similar to my initial priming and carnivore journey. Right, Emily? I know that
absolutely.
You're
I was like, wow. And I wanted to
right?
mention that about how individual this is. And we get that question all the time in the gang of people are like, I had to prime more than 2 weeks. Is there something wrong with me? And we just say, no, feast, enjoy, just relax, buy those soft, comfy clothes, give yourself that nourishment, be gentle on yourself. And I love that you were able to do that and continue with it, because we do see that bodies need very individual amounts of time during the priming process.
Yes. This is such a nice reminder for those who are struggling with gaining weight currently on carnivore. It usually takes a couple months before that appetite kind of calms down and says, hey, I feel safe. I feel nourished again. And I will reward you back by closing up the appetite. And I remember that day, that first day when I was carnivore, where I was able to leave food on my plate without having to scarf it down. That was a legendary day for me because I knew something was shifting, something was healing. And I left that couple bite of butter and steak or whatever I cooked that meal, and I was able to wrap it up and put it away. And that is for me a sign that finally my body's feeling safe. And from what I see over and over, when the body feels safe, soon after the weight will start dropping as well. Curious to know, Alicia, did you incorporate any intermittent fasting at all, or did the weight just slowly drift away?
Yeah, so first with carnivore, I was completely unable to fast because my body just went alert, alert, this is restriction. But after priming and sorting out, my hunger and satiety, yeah, I did start intermittently fasting, and then I went on to 2MAD, then I went on to OMAD, and a couple of months ago I did my first 36-hour water fast, which would have been completely unheard of. Yeah, it was awesome. What an experience. But you really need to build yourself up to that.
We see that so much with our gang, is that fasting can become a joy and not a restriction. When your body's ready for it, you can add this healing protocol as you wish, and just interject that from time to time, whether it's for fat loss or whether it's just from the amazing healing benefits that fasting brings.
If you feel like you are ready to try out priming and experience the full 90-day fat loss protocol that Coach Raymond and Emily teach, you can go ahead and sign up and access all classes, playbacks, live streams, and easy to follow weekly guides by going to spgmeetup.com as shown on the screen, or by clicking the links down below in the description box. So you mentioned oxalates. That's another big topic. Is a lot of people are not aware that when they go carnivore, and if they do it cold turkey, they could experience some harsh oxalate dumping symptoms. I'm curious of your experience with oxalate dumping. Did you have symptoms?
I did.
Okay.
I actually started diarising, how I was feeling, particularly very early on in my carnivore journey, because I wanted to see if I was getting different symptoms, if I was, having Herxheimer reactions, oxalate dumping. And yeah, I had a few really, really nasty ones. It was painful. And you'll know if it happens. It will start presenting out in the skin. You will start excreting it out through your urine, through the back door, all those different types of things. And it can be pretty unnerving, but that's the time that the body feels safe enough to actually release the oxalate. So on one hand, it can be a bit unnerving, but it's actually your body going, okay, it's time to release, because we have no oxalate coming in. It's toxic. Your body has to sequester it away in your muscles, your tissues, your bones. And depending how long you've been eating your standard Australian, standard American, wherever you may be in the world, that's going to take some time. So I would say don't be surprised if it's not short-lived, and you could be even 6 months into your carnivore journey and it suddenly happens again.
And it actually doesn't matter if you were keto or very low carb before going carnivore, because a lot of the keto foods, they are high in oxalates. Almond butter, peanut butter, right? All of those high oxalate leafy greens. And then going carnivore, people are like, what is going on? My skin is getting worse. My autoimmune is getting worse. Curious to know, Emily, if you experienced oxalate symptoms.
The first time I tried carnivore, I had it immediately. And it came out on the backs of my arms. And I was aware of what it was, and I was just coming. Spinach was one of my main things that I was eating all the time: spinach, nut butters, turmeric. And so, and when that was in 2019, in my little tiny bout with carnivore, I didn't understand. I wasn't in a community. I didn't understand the typical things that happen. And I didn't understand about the weight gain that sometimes happens with carnivore.
So when I was coming up with questions for you, Alicia, I found out your age, but you have to share your age with everyone watching.
I am 42 years old, and I'm about to turn 43 this month.
That's incredible.
Amazing.
You look great. If you're also a busy carnivore, you can understand the pleasure and convenience of being able to shop online for cheap, quality carnivore essentials. And I wanted to share with you my Thrive Market box, some pork rind chips. And this brand is a really good brand because of its clean, high quality ingredients. The ingredients are literally just pork rind chips and sea salt. And I personally got the original flavor just because it's the cleanest, non-spiced flavor. You can open their app and turn on their filters for specific diets. Even though they don't have a carnivore diet filter yet, they do have a ketogenic diet filter, and a lot of the snacks and search results that show up are perfectly carnivore friendly. For example, like this epic one. And I'll also share screen and show you guys some other really great carnivore options that you can go ahead and get the best deal on through Thrive Market. The Rosy line is Thrive Market's very own household cleaning supply line, non-toxic, non-irritating for us sensitive carnivores. This is their dishwasher detergent pods for obviously cleaning dishes, especially carnivore greasy dishes. This does the job really well. I also got their fresh lemon scented all-purpose cleaner. This is just a spray bottle of non-toxic cleaning spray. And because I have Simba, a golden retriever, this is great at cleaning down any surfaces, anything that needs to be sparkly clean and shiny. I decided to try their Thrive Market floss. They have a bunch of really high quality, non-toxic personal care items. And this floss is made of activated charcoal. Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store where you can get the best deals on carnivore essentials. They match any prices that are lower than what shows up on their site and app. If you guys want to check out Thrive Market, you all can get 30% off your order and a free gift worth up to $60 by going to thrivemarket.com/steakandbuttergal. I'll also make sure to link a clickable link down below in the description box. Can we talk about female hormones? Because you're 43, you did mention that you had some big hormonal concerns that you wanted to heal. How is that going today?
Really well. I spoke about the adenomyosis, which is definitely influenced by hormones, and it was the reason why I came to the carnivore in the first place, combined with what was happening with my hunger and satiety.
Yeah.
And to now be 15 months in and understand what true hunger is, when my body's had enough, if it needs anything else, like being so in tune and going, okay, I want some more protein today, great, or I'd like a little more fat, really hearing those signals loud and clear, like there's no white noise for me anymore. And that is just so freeing. And I am still off pain medication. I was also taking CBD oil, which in this country is unbelievably expensive. It's about $500 for under 3 months worth of medication. I kid you not. So it was completely unsustainable. And I haven't even had to think about any of those things. And carnivore is such a huge part of that, that it really changed my life.
Yeah, when people are starting carnivore, they look to how expensive the meat is and that it's kind of an expense compared to other foods. I love that what you're saying, though, when you look at the medical expenses and the supplements that we used to have to take, this is such an incredible shift away from that.
I want to go back to the sugar and carb addiction because this is one of the biggest hurdles. You said that with keto, you felt that deep addiction still. And I'm guessing before you went keto, were you kind of like standard Australian diet?
Very much so. So I come from a bodybuilding background, and that is 100% very, very carb heavy. Lots of, artificial protein powders, bars, all the, pills, supplements, all the things that you can take. So yeah, that's pretty much all I knew. And I truly thought that was a healthy way to eat. I ate such an oxalate heavy diet. And I had no idea what an oxalate even was, or what oxalates did to the body before coming to carnivore. And so, I was like having, spinach and protein smoothies and eating like huge amounts of sweet potato, almonds, almond butter, all that kind of stuff, because I truly understood that this was good for my health, when in fact it was, underneath and internally it was causing so much damage.
A lot of women come to me and Emily asking, is fasting detrimental to female hormones specifically? And is there a specific length that a woman should not go over? And Alicia, you said you achieved a 36-hour fast. Did you feel any repercussions in your hormone health, in how you felt afterwards?
No, none whatsoever. And, there is a lot of talk in the community and and circles about where you should fast, perhaps for women, in line with your cycle. I would definitely say if you're a woman and you're looking to build a fasting lifestyle, definitely get in touch with a coach that is all over it and that can help you and support you, and make sure that you're prepped and ready to be able to go into those fasts.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as getting your tank full, and I think of it as getting your hormones completely satisfied, as well as regulatory organs, your thyroid, and all these things, they function off of a reserve. And so I just we know that by how people are feeling, and once they get their reserves fully nourished and ready to go, then the fasting can be a gift. But we are so focused on learning signals and paying attention and learning, when it's too much, and we don't really do any white knuckle fasting. We prep up, we have lots of little boosting periods, nourishing periods. The nourishing is just as important as the fasting, and so they work really well together.
Did you ever track throughout your carnivore journey? Because you were in bodybuilding, and usually you guys track a lot, right?
Yeah. Everything is completely micromanaged. Look, the only reason I would ever jump onto an app now is just to be curious, to kind of look at my split of protein versus fat. And that's purely just for me. It's not kind of for any aesthetic goal. It's just for data for me to look back over. I don't care. Tracking calories isn't even a thing for me. I don't even think about that anymore. Whereas that was completely the focus. It's like, if you don't hit those numbers, that's it for you. So that's a really liberating part of my carnivore journey, is that I'm not tethered to those things anymore. And, like I said, if it's great and you can use them, and, the information is relevant and not inflammatory for you, fantastic. But for me, it just provokes such anxiety, and to be free of that now is amazing.
From that bodybuilding perspective, I also wanted to hear about your body, about your relationship with your body. I know in that prior environment, people are so focused and they want this certain lean cut and this certain look, and almost like obsessive at that. And I just was curious how your journey, and how do you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror now?
Yeah, look, bodybuilding completely is all about aesthetics. It's all about the outer and the package that you present. And I think the biggest change in line with that for me is that I'm so much more loving to both the outside and the inside. My main focus and my main driver 100% is what's happening for me internally. The outside is just a beautiful representation of that. That's the way I see it now. Whereas it was almost food, my relationship with food and my training got to a point where it was almost a form of reward and punishment. And it is so far from that now. The way that I train, it's like I feel like I train with so much more joy than I used to. And, bodybuilding is always going to be a part of my life. And the main focus is just making sure that all my internal health is supported, number one. That's my priority. And, the aesthetics can come second.
Amazing.
I love that you said that. I feel like carnivore in general, physically, we say things heal inside. This weight gain is often, from your structures getting stronger bones, more muscle. We're kind of looking at this like inside first, heal the body first, and then some results will come. For you, I love how even on that mental journey, it was like having this transcendence inside of yourself first, healing how you think about things. And then that has now become your measure of whether your life is in alignment with what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's actually open up the conversation on that as well. And Emily, you're so good at self-talk, healthy, positive self-talk. If women are watching, and men, if they're watching this video and they are thinking, gosh, I wish I could get to where Alicia is right now, where she's so loving and accepting of how she looks inside and out, how she feels, or I want to get to where Bella is today, whatever that means. But I'm just not, because I always beat myself up in my head. I don't accept where my body is today. How do we get there mentally?
Bella, I am so glad that you brought this up, because it does all spring from that. I do have to mention, I'm all about connection. And I really believe that the more that we see this vision for ourselves, Bella, we hold faith for each other. And so when I see you, I love you so much. And when we see each other in these calls and the connect in the Steak and Butter Gang, we borrow each other's faith in each other, and we lean it out. And I lean to you and I just say, I'm going to give you what I see in you. And so I do have to say that I think our friendships and our connections are foundational in changing that, because we need to experience that unconditional love from each other. And once we have been through that journey, we start to learn how to give it to ourselves. That's going to be my number one tip on that.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying that, Emily. 100% agree. Alicia, what are your thoughts on this?
I think you've got to understand that deep self-love, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And to be fair, there are days and times where I still struggle with it too. But I think the more that you reframe your point of reference and, you know, wake up and try saying something that you love about yourself, instead of, looking in the mirror and going like, oh, I wish I could change this. I don't like that, X, Y, and Z. My best friend and I actually were doing that with one another. I'm like, tell me something you absolutely love about yourself today. Because it usually used to be text messages of, oh, my butt, or, oh, I don't like my hair today, or et cetera, et cetera. But if you do that enough times and, practice, self-love is practice and self-care. So, and I loved what Emily was saying, about having that connection. And, like I said about the SBG, if you want a place where everybody is so connected and you will feel so welcomed, so loved and so supported. And, when you come into carnivore, I think it's imperative to find your tribe. And I certainly feel like I found my tribe in the SBG, and I'm so grateful to be back in it now again after about a 10-month hiatus.
Oh, I'm super excited that you're back. When you posted, I was like, yes, she's back. She's posting again. You're just this gorgeous ray of light. And when people see your before and afters in the community, it pumps them up to continue to recommit if they loosened up their grip. I will be featuring a lot of Alicia's before and afters throughout this video as overlays, but I'm actually curious how being a carnivore content creator, because you have your own YouTube channel, how that has been going for you.
Look, it's been a pretty amazing and surprising little journey. I just did it on a whim, and I thought, you know what? Why not share a bit of me?
Sometimes we're absolutely inundated with white noise, everything in the external, from our environment to socials to who we interact with. But really, at the end of the day, making the choice to be a carnivore and embrace the carnivore lifestyle only should matter to one person, and that's you. There are no awards for carnivore perfection. So in those moments or on those days where perhaps things just have not gone to plan and you are starting to get down in the dumps and thinking, I'm a failure, I can't do this, it's too hard, it's not sustainable, just pull it back. Take a moment, take a breath. You're not expected to be this perfect machine. You're a human being. And you know what? Things are going to happen in life. But it's all about how you reassess, reframe, and move forward in your carnivore journey. Don't let that one bad or imperfect meal define the rest of your carnivore journey. Don't let your own head or the carnivore police or anything else dissuade you from the path that you're on. You got this.
I'm also studying a diploma of nutrition to become a health coach myself. So it was kind of a platform for me to set myself up for the future and present myself. So, I thought, if my story and my journey can help somebody else, that's a good thing. And why not put something out like that into the world? So it started from one little video, and then it just grew from there. And I love it. I love seeing people's stories, them connecting with me in the comments, and it brings me such joy to create that content. So yeah, the Baroness of Beef, come on over.
You know what we feed grows. And so this is what you're doing. And as you feed and as you get this message out, it strengthens your experience, because we don't want to do this by ourselves. We want to do this in community and with other people and encouraging other people. And I love what you said about the mentality. These things grow. When you discipline yourself and you collaborate with your friends, we're going to tell each other things that we like about each other and about ourselves. And you start building these discipline habits, and it feels awkward when you're first doing it. And then it starts to assimilate into your whole being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll share what has helped me kind of shift my focus and my almost perfectionist obsession over body image, to shift that mentality of looks, body image, how lean am I, size. What I've been doing every day is I jot down with pen and paper every morning, moment I wake up, things that I'm grateful for. And 9 times out of 10, the things that I'm grateful for are things that this body is able to do, or this healthy body has been able to achieve. And it also is things from people around me. I frequently say things that Emily has done in my life that I am grateful for. So it really forces me to shift my focus away from, what this looks like, to actions, people around me, the love, and the warmth that I'm getting in my life. So that's my tip for anyone watching. Write down what you are grateful for every single morning. Makes a big difference. And I love how you said, Alicia, that you currently landed on 2 meals a day. You don't intentionally plan out like, oh, how many meals am I going to eat today? You kind of just listen to your body and your appetite, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There is no plan to it whatsoever. So when that hunger starts kicking up, I'm like, okay, first meal time. Typically I'll have sometimes I'll fast through to 12, and that's kind of the time that my body goes, give me that first meal, and then I'll have one in the afternoon or early evening. But yeah, it's just all about listening to your body, and it'll show you the way.
I mean, it's all over. What I have seen and experienced myself is variation, and listening.
Yeah.
And so I love that. OMAD got so popular when fasting became popular a long time ago, and people thought it was the key to everything. Well, here's the thing. We want one solution that's the same thing that works for us every day. We just want to fix it and forget it. And that's actually not how we thrive. We thrive on variety. And so I think that we oftentimes force it, thinking that this is, how we're supposed to be, but it actually turns out to be one more form of restriction. So I love where you're at. And I think that as your hormone needs change throughout the month, your eating cycles and your fasting cycles should absolutely adjust to that. What's so cool is we're learning to listen.
Well, Alicia, I will wrap up with this last question. What do you see yourself doing next with carnivore? Any experiments, any plans to, rev up the fasting for your near future? Share with us what your ideas are for your carnivore journey.
Look, I think for me, the word is consistency. And, carnivore is just so easy to be consistent on for me. I see myself, someone asked me the other day, they're like, you guys doing this forever? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I am.
Nice.
This is the main theory that I'm hearing out there when I see videos and podcasts. I see people saying, well, carnivore is very beneficial. Of course, it will reset your microbiome. Of course, it's going to help you, but you're going to hate it after a month. Excuse me.
Yeah.
3 years, a year and a half, you're pushing it. Bella, you're 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody hating it in this conversation?
No.
Nope.
I don't know where that comes from. It always makes me question, is this person who is hating it after a month doing some crazy, modalities that are just not sustainable? I think the biggest takeaway from Alicia sharing tonight is, firstly, listen, just listen, adapt, adjust to your body, right? And then Alicia just keeping it simple. Amazing. Well, Alicia, where can people find you if they want more of your content and to continue to support you?
So just jump onto YouTube, pop in the Baroness of Beef, and I shall appear.
Her YouTube is linked down below in the description box, as well as the pinned comment. So you can just click on that link, subscribe, and keep following on her journey. Thank you, Alicia, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Emily.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed this interview with Alicia, the Baroness of Beef. I have linked her amazing YouTube channel down below in the description box if you guys want to subscribe to her and show her some love as well. If you're a new or experienced carnivore and are looking for some support, accountability, maybe some coaching and expert guidance to troubleshoot some hurdles that you're going through, my next carnivore challenge is open for sign signup, you will be able to ask carnivore doctors and experts your personal questions and get the help that you need. I also have an amazing team of carnivore coaches who provide guidance and support and teach 6 hours of carnivore classes every single week. If you are fans of any of the carnivore faces shown on the screen right now, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Tony Hampton, Dr. Robert Kiltz, Rebecca Heischman, and Sean White, the Intentional Carnivore, they will be visiting my upcoming Carnivore Challenge to answer all the member questions and speak on topics that are requested. If you're interested in learning more about the benefits of what you get as a challenger, just go to the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com, or feel free to click the links down below in the description box. If you guys want to check out Thrive Market, you all can get 30% off your order and a free gift worth up to $60 by going to thrivemarket.com/steakandbuttergal as shown on the screen. I'll also make sure to link a clickable link down below in the description box. I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. SBG out.